Well, as the left continues to wage war on reality and forcing all of us to have these ridiculous arguments in 2024 about what is a man, what is a woman, and the fact that we have to have these so called experts tell us what gender they think our children are, there is no greater example than yet another judicial nominee from Biden that said, "Hey, I'm not a biologist. I don't know, can't answer." So, this headline coming from the Washington Times telling the story: Biden judicial nominee can't say whether chromosomes determine sex. I have never studied biology. One of President Biden's judicial nominees is under scrutiny for refusing to answer whether chromosomes determine one's biological sex, insisting that she never studied biology and is unqualified to answer. Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn pleaded innocence of the question when asked it in a written questionnaire by Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, the top Republican on the Senate Judiciary Committee. So joining me now to discuss is Walker Wildmon, who is the Vice President of the American Family Association and host of At the Core on American Family Radio Network, where I also host Jenna Ellis in the morning. You can find all of those programs and more at afr.net. So, Walker, this is ridiculous. Nobody needs to have studied biology to know the self-evident truth that men are men and women are women. I mean, 2-year-olds can answer this. My nephews, who are like 5, 3, and my niece who's 2, they know. I mean, this is preposterous.
Yes, I'm laughing during the intro, and it's not like this is the first time I've looked at this story. I've read this thing like 7 times, and I'm still just chuckling at myself because of the lunacy here. I mean, this is 100%, on a serious note, this is 100% disqualifying. 100% disqualifying, and here's why. There's a litany of areas and paths I could go here. But if you can't tell me what a woman is according to science and biology, then you cannot rule on the judiciary. You cannot sit on the federal judiciary in the Southern District of New York, because then you can't interpret the Constitution, including the Civil Rights Act of 1964, because part of the Civil Rights Act is not discriminating based on sex. And if you don't know what biological sex is, then you can't rule on some of the fundamental aspects of our U.S. Constitution and our federal code. So not to mention all the state laws in New York, but this is very, very problematic and 100% disqualifying. But these are the clowns that Biden is putting forth, and I can't even believe they're being taken serious. I mean, this is a complete joke, but also a very serious threat, Jenna, because these are the same folks that'll be ruling on cases in U.S. district courts and circuit courts all around this country.
Yeah, you're so right to point to some of these sex-based protections in the U.S. Constitution itself. I mean, like there are 3 different places that preserve and protect the right to vote, and the 19th Amendment specifically protects my right as a woman to vote. So how is this federal judge going to see any types of challenges like that? If she can't determine what a woman is, does she even know what a plaintiff who claims sex-based discrimination in a workplace would even qualify for that particular challenge? I mean, it is so absurd on face. But the left is putting this forward intentionally, and they're not laughing. They're very serious, because this is, I think, an intentional replacement of reality with their preferred so-called experts that then get to define reality within the confines of their own parameters. And so if we just look to the experts, then we're foreclosing parental rights, we're foreclosing a lot of our other constitutionally protected rights as individuals, and we're giving over our sovereignty essentially and our judiciary to the experts that then get to self-determine what reality must be. And I think that's really the end goal of this Marxist state.
Yeah, 100%. What's happening here is this whole idea and long-term fact pattern of choosing people for the judiciary that are qualified according to the U.S. Constitution and ruling on cases according to the Constitution and the text of the law. That's completely gone out the door for Democrats. I mean, they are choosing hardcore ideologues to put on the judiciary for 100% political and ideological purpose, not based on the Constitution or the rule of law, solely based on the whims of the Democrat Party. So that's why you get clowns like Sarah Netburn to go to the Southern District of New York. But more seriously, is these are the judges that will be ruling on cases for years to come, even in some cases decades to come, very consequential cases. And I would argue this is the most consequential aspect of the executive branch in 2024. You know, in the past, the judiciary maybe hasn't been as consequential, but the more ideologues they put on the judiciary, the more important it is that we don't allow a Democrat president to stay in the White House, because these appointments have ramifications for years to come and really will undermine constitutional rights for a long, long time.
Yeah, that is a great point. I mean, this isn't just solely about Trump versus Biden and some of the personality clashes and the executive orders that might be promulgated. This is about the ability of a president to choose nominees for the federal bench. And we've seen the differences now clearly between Trump's judicial appointments and Biden's, and that should be a major and key voting issue for concerned conservatives come November. And so when you're talking about the judiciary and vetting some of these appointments, we have certainly seen some from President Trump that frankly could have been better, but none that actually sat in front of the Judiciary Committee and said, "I'm not a biologist. I don't know what a woman is." I mean, there is such a wide chasm of a difference that it really does boil down to how we want to protect the judiciary for the next 30 and 40 years. So what is your advice to maybe some who are still contemplating their vote and they're thinking, I don't know what main issues to vote on, why the judiciary is so important?
Yeah, I would say to the voters out there, the judiciary is of utmost importance. Think about all the consequential cases that go before the Supreme Court that affect our everyday rights, our constitutional rights. But also, my message to the Trump campaign is to wake up to this reality that the federal judiciary should be the type of the campaign. I mean, I get it, immigration, the economy, et cetera. I'm not saying we don't talk about those issues, but in reality, who gets to pick the next few Supreme Court justices? This is a big deal. Who gets to put justices, or rather judges, on the Fifth Circuit, 11th Circuit, Seventh Circuit, all these different circuits? This has long-term ramifications. And if Biden gets another 4 years, I mean, can you imagine the type of radicals that are going to be on the judiciary all around the country? So to me, this Supreme Court and federal judiciary topic should be like at the forefront of the campaign. I would argue it got Trump into the White House in 16. It could get him in again in 24 if he focuses on it.
Yeah, well said. And I was just thinking, as you mentioned, 2016, I mean, the focus, because of the passing of Justice Scalia and that empty seat, was at the fore during the 2016 campaign and was a huge issue for conservatives who did not want Hillary Clinton to be able to make that selection. Well, in 2024 through 2028, it is very possible we would see the retirement of a couple of justices, and whether they're from the left or the right ideologically, we do want to replace those justices with originalists, with good conservative justices who will protect the constitutional rights of Americans. And so that is at the fore. And I think that's very well said advice to the Trump campaign to make this a much, much bigger issue. I mean, who cares about the conviction out of New York? Focus on this. But thanks so much, Walker Wildmon. We'll be right back with more here on Jenna Ellis Tonight.